Can you explain what cryptologic is? I mean, what? Not everybody's gonna be able to break that lingo down, like the cryptologic, what you just said. So break it down for people, because again, I have a team that throws this on my podcast, and so all two listeners are gonna want to know what you're saying. I'm being serious. So
Sorry, I probably need to leave my mic open while I was looking for it. But cryptologic is like, codes. If you're trying to create, cryptology is like creating ciphers or codes. So if you were trying to decrypt some of this code stuff for ESP, then they got a lot of information from what's the guy's name? Bryzel. I can just read from here. It's um, one of the guys that worked for Mankind Research Unlimited. He he meant I was looking up his name, and he was working on uh, what do you call it? Sorry, my mind's thinking of different things. This is the stuff that they were using to try to, um, you know, break psychic spying. And so cryptologic aspects is like, how can we create a code, or how can we use ESP to send encrypted communications? And so that's pretty much what cryptologic is.
thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. So, guys, if you're just joining us, we can talk about anything related to phenomenon. And if you ask me at this point, there's not much that's not related to the phenomenon. If we're again, filters everybody. Whenever I say things, I try to post as much. Most of it's on my Twitter, and I post it in here. But I encourage you to read the stuff I post and then decide for yourself. Right? Sometimes I think it's easy. Sometimes maybe not. But it doesn't matter. I'm not saying take my word. If we're hybrids, that changes the game. Uh, in 1997, and there's a John Ramirez quote. He's on the record about this, talking about Jason, or talking about the symposium. The symposium was a MITRE Corp and Jason, and they had a study, the Human Genome Project, and within that study, they found out that we have, we'll call it alien DNA within us, right? Not only that, he has a specific quote, and I talked about in my last space where everybody was at, pretty cool, Project Preserve Destiny, and that's a project. What we do is we communicate with them, and how we use the very, I guess, intuits that the NHI create themselves. And Dan Sherman talks about in his book that as he's communicating with them, he sees these abductions, it's just all planned things. So it's a part of the treaties, part of the carrying on that whole program. And not all the presidents know about that program. And there's different groups of them, right? So, Screen, go ahead, brother. I don't like to talk in my own spaces, so go ahead. I don't want to. Go ahead.
My bad. I was switching earbuds and taking some groceries in at the same time. But what if it's not a hybrid in the way that we would think? Um, I'll have to find the name of it. B shared it with me. It was Gary Nolan in a video talking about the people with the active frontal lobes and how they tend to pair up. But he didn't want to get into like the genetics of it, because then it gets into tricky a tricky avenue there. But what if that's like the hybrid stuff you're talking about? Not necessarily what we would think of, like a human mixed with an alien, but one to maybe have a better chance of increased psi abilities or things of that nature.
Holy shit, dude. It's amazing shit. Matter of fact, when somebody's brain pops, that's what I picture. And I may start what is it? Enlargedfrontals.only.com. I need to find me an enlargedfrontals.only.girl, right? So look, all of that, and I agree with that. That's some good shit. So I've talked to so many individuals. I also posted a paper. I'll post it in this space. It was in the last space. It was Thomas Bearden. It was the one human problem, the solution, and its relationship to UFOs. And it talks about basically the only way we keep going past that. the Fermi paradox is evolution in some way. And what you're saying to me is the exact same thing, right? It's kind of that. It's no one's special. It's not that. We're all getting there, but you got front right. It just keeps going like that. Maybe that's kind of what it is. But how do we explain alien DNA? And I actually had a question. We'll get to you after Holly screen because I wanted to ask you since you know Burroughs, because I specifically asked last space. I'm like, I'm quite curious about the interaction with him and the craft, and if what happened to his DNA, I understand we're all hybrid, was part of that. And because our governments are government, they're trying to weaponize it. That's why they won't give it back. Or if there is a special reason because of his DNA and bloodline, which bloodline, Basque, Rh negative, um, Cherokee, right? Atlantean. So, Holly, go ahead.
Hey, Ben. I was just musing and I was talking about it earlier myself. Isn't it interesting how so many people have a connection to the phenomena or the phenomena interacts with them? And a majority of these people have some level of neurodivergence. And it always just strikes me as really interesting how that links together. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. I was with some of my heist friends, the human initiated contact group, and there was like 12 of us, and 11 out of the 12 of us all had some level of neurodivergence. 8 out of the 12 of us had all had experiences since childhood. It's just crazy, isn't it? I wish I was a cleverer person to understand
Do
that
me a
link.
favor, Holly. Can you
Yeah.
explain to everybody what neurodivergence is? For people like, say, me, who's new to kind of things like this, some of the words may lose us. That way we
Ah.
could bring other people on board. Because like I said, I put this on my podcast and there's 3 super fans.
Super fans. So neurodivergence is like ADHD, autism, spectrum type things, and it's a whole plethora. But for me, as someone who's 37-year adult, I have ADHD. I wasn't diagnosed until quite recently in my life. But there seems to be a very strong. If we Bob Boshed it out now on our profile and said, how many people have autism or ADHD or something like that and has connection or interaction with the phenomena, guarantee a significant proportion of people, because I've done it. I did it a couple of months ago and I had tons of replies. It's just a really interesting link. And I often find people with neurodivergence, like me with ADHD, we have mad strong intuition, like mad strong. I can tell when the room's changing. I can feel people's energy. And was it Gary Nolan that kind of said, like looking at the whole intuition side of things? I just think it's bananas. I think it was B actually that got me onto this. I think it was. But yeah, it was just me making some musings.
I just messaged B today to tell her how fucking awesome she was. What a sync. I literally did. I was like, hey, just to let you know. So what's up, screen?
Yeah, D's been on this stuff ever since I've been on UFO Twitter, actually. But I want to say it could be something as simple as like the neurodivergents are easier to be in dissociative states, right? And that would be also why trauma would be a link. So it's like that's a big part. That's sorry, if y'all can hear my dog. That's a big part. That's like overlooked for some reason. I guess because maybe it's not what most people would consider, as cool or whatever. But yeah, that dissociative state or these meditative states, these dreamlike states, all with that area that Nolan studies, and how it can be affected by these frequencies. People just don't talk about it enough.
Agreed. Hey, everybody, if you're just joining us, retweet the space. Actually, throw some quotes in there too, man. Maybe it'll make it whatever this platform is called now, X something. I don't know. I don't give a shit. So UFO Twitter week is coming up. I don't think Astral's in here, is he? No. So he's got a space tonight too. He's kind of going to announce who's when, all that kind of stuff. It's some cool stuff. So it's going to be, I think it's November 1st through 7th. He's going to
It is.
announce.
Yeah, Shane, I've been helping Astral organise it. It's from the 1st to the 5th. Got some really, really awesome guests. I'm having a chat with Sean Cahill, with others. With Tiff, she might be joining me too. And we've got Steve Mara and Barry from Project Doorway, and they're very big on the paranormal side, so they're going to be joining us. And I think I'm going to be heading up a Brit space of the good and awesome Brit community. But yeah, Astral's been working his ass off, so there's some really good spaces. So guys, make sure you're checking it out.
And do that. And actually, now I'm mad because I thought I got my dates wrong, and I thought I want to do one of the first ones, right? Because I never do a guest. So I picked the 4th right after you and Cahill, and I'm like, shit, dude, what the fuck am I going to talk about?
Sorry.
I'm like, oh man, I thought I was the first one, right? Like, no, I picked after. So I'm like, I'm trying to get a guest. So if we're lucky. No, I don't think we will be. But again, I can talk. So it'll be me talking no matter what. And it's gonna be sick. I still remember when we started this shit, and it's kind of taken off. We get guest people. One of the things I pitched, and I tried to pitch it, I'm not kidding. So look, I'll tell you that I tried to pitch it to all kinds of people for this one just because it's a platform like no other, maybe one that kind of went away. So if you want to get a message out, interaction, the engagement you get here is beyond anything else. And there's ways to do it. For example, if you're worried about if you're listening to people who I asked, which I think you are, things like having a co-host only, and if you have questions, they get put in the thread as a voice or as a text, right? So we can make sure there's no bullshit, no trolls, because these people take time. And if someone that I asked was actually willing to, I wouldn't mess around, and it would be something along those lines. So if you're listening, I have the plan written. It'll be safe, and this is how you get this message out to all the people. The engagement is going to be insane. I promise you. I promise you. So, yep, I love Twitter Spaces. Best place ever. Best place you can period. You can get replies on YouTube. All that shit. I do podcasts. It's not like here, man. It's literally a town hall. That's what I used to call it. It feels like a town hall about UFOs, except we're saying stupid shit sometimes.
You know, Shane, you were like the second person I ever spoke to in a space, and now look,
Yeah, yeah, you got the best
dude.
people ever too, man. The best. Ross's space was amazing.
Oh, I know, right, right. He's doing
Yeah.
okay as well at the moment. But yeah, we might have maybe a special guest for Twitter for the 1st to the 5th. I've not had it confirmed, but we're working on something. That's all I'm gonna say.
Can I tell you a story, Holly, since we talked about it? Because you and I had conversed about getting an individual, right?
Yeah, no, like I spoke to
Let
that
me tell you this
person. They
story.
can't.
So okay, when I met, I'm not going to say the name of that person, but when I met
No,
Jay Stratton, when I met Jay Stratton at Alien Con, right? It just seemed to me he was all big eyed and wouldn't talk to me for some reason. And then an individual kind of like, hey, man, let me get your number. We could do all these things. Didn't end up playing out because I think it was how do you call it? It was a fullback move, like interruption for some reason. And I can't quite figure that out yet because, again, I have no idea. Like, I tried, bro. I tried, Holly. I just want you to know like a dozen times. I don't even think I've got a message back. No shit.
um, I
You
think
probably already had him talk. Like literally, that's what I'm saying.
I think
That
I got off
moment
the.
wasn't what I thought. It was literally run interruption, bro, without saying it because all of a sudden it happened, but I can't figure out why Jay didn't talk to me.
I spoke to that person a couple of days ago, but I think we might gonna. Uh, things are moving. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Cue the
I hope
unboxes.
it moves somehow because it ain't coming from the from what we've been feeling. It ain't coming from trusted sources in government.
Yeah, no doubt. What's up, Voodoo?
Yeah, I actually wanted to go back to what Holly was saying about, neurodivergence and your musings, and I kind of just wanted to get your opinion. So I think you bring up some really good points around, neurodivergence. So do you think, like, in your opinion, and like I said, this is maybe just speculation, but do you think that neurodivergence is a symptom of exoconsciousness contact, or do you think the exoconsciousness kind of chooses those that are neurodivergent because of maybe ease of communication or facilitation of communication?
Great question.
Great question, and I certainly think it's the latter for sure. And I have been back and forth for many years on the why, the who, the what, and what's the driving mechanism behind it. And I do think it really is the latter of what you've just said there. And you know, for me, as someone who has studied and trained in many different contact modalities, from Rama through to Greer's C5, Dr. Joseph Beck's sort of version, HICE, human initiated contact events or experiences. And even when you start to look at the sort of, indigenous, people of America and the Aborigines of Australia, there's been contact modalities forever. But certainly those with some kind of neurodivergence, I believe it's part of that contact experience to make it easier for them or what the phenomena to have some level of contact. And that becomes then a responsibility that maybe some people don't necessarily want. It's a really interesting one, and I wish I had all the answers, but yeah, it's something I certainly muse on for a long, long time for sure.
Since you mentioned that, I just posted up in a thread, right? DARPA program, Neurofast. Basically, imagine extreme neuroplasty, but it's being tailored to get the max benefit. And I had just been mentioning stuff like this. Like, it felt like I was going through that at the time I needed to do the things that I need to do. Because think about that. Our government has the ability that if PTSD, things like that, if you're a soldier, person, any of those things, it can not only heal you, it can make you better than you were. Extreme neuro, basically tailored brain, connections. And what could that entail? What could that do if you were able to coax that along? Do you think psi abilities is one of those things? Can you take over real quick, Holly? And matter of fact, you needed to.
Yeah, sure. I was quite just talking about how like abilities can heal. Um, I was doing some work with the Rama, which is a South American kind of contact modality led by Sixto Paxo Wells. And I'd had a really serious injury, and I wasn't so necessarily believed in like this power of healing and the aliens can come and make it all better. And kind of, I was a bit like, "Meh." And I was working with the Rama at the time, and after a period of deep meditation with this group, and not necessarily in person, I was in person, and the other parts of the collective had mobilized as well to do a certain type of protocol focused on me. I was x-rayed a couple of days later, and the bone density and growth that I'd had was unprecedented, and the surgeons couldn't understand why. And that's when I really started to take this stuff a little bit more seriously, because something happened through the collective consciousness of these people gathering together, working with the others, as they call them. And some level of healing happened to me that no one could understand why. That there's the ferocity of the healing and the speed in which my bones had healed that were completely smashed apart and held together currently by pins. And I always just find that really interesting, that collective consciousness power when working with the others. And I don't know enough about it, but I always think it's a discussion point. And I think B and I have spoke about this before. She's in the room, right? Yep, I see you. I've brought you up, B. Oh, it won't let you come up. Hang on. It's not accepting you. Oh my God. Someone is listening. I'm sending you an invite, B. It's just not come. It just keeps refusing you. Done. Done. Hey, here she is. Hey, you.
You lovely biophotonic rats of goodness. Awesome conversation.
You're too kind.
Um, I want to throw in Holly. I'm not sure if you're aware. I've been really ecstatic about it, kind of bouncing off the walls. But I just found out that the genetics of psi study that Ions and Raiden did. Well, Gary Nolan was involved in that and had a grant from 2015 to 2018. And in the two talks, the genetics of the strains with Gary Nolan and the 2019 SPR address with Dean Radin, in between those two discussions and the papers that they mentioned there that you can find, the matter of frontal brain lesions on causality of intent and random number generators, PK, pretty much. And he's going into well, Raiden was saying how that could be a sign of a teardown of the filter uh, that keeps our brains from seeing or interacting with this other stuff, right? But in that talk, Raiden also goes into and I'll post it in the link. um, uh, it's really funny because I gotta say it the funny way because it's just funny the way he says it. That there's differences. The golden ticket is something. It's they both found the genetics representative of psi ability, and what that study showed is that the people with this genetic in their family, it showed that people that were regressing their ability, the genes repressed the ability as like a code of survival or whatever. But they're also showing that these brain structures in people, like I can't talk to save my life, but the video he's talking about, he's like, we have people operating our nuclear silos, and one of them can be perfectly fine. We've now narrowed it down where we can see the differences in the brain and that density and the basal ganglia caudate putamen potato area, um, and be able to say, he's perfectly fine, despite the fact that he's, Barry came in through the wall and said hi to me last night, kind of stuff. But he's perfectly, but they're getting closer to answering that question of the genetics and brain morphology and interactions with this phenomenon. And I'll post those links.
Wow. That's incredible. I just think this stuff is unpacking more and more, and the more we learn about us, the more we learn about the human condition, the more we learn about our brains. It's kind of wild, isn't it? I do believe that there are some human beings that through whatever is in their brain is connected to some, call it the cosmic highway of information, call it the collective consciousness, call it whatever. But there certainly is something there that perhaps our science and our understanding just doesn't get it yet. But something for sure, there is a connection, right?
They're catching up. I was looking because I got mad yesterday because I missed Dean Radin and Abby Loeb's talk. I got my time wrong, so I'm waiting on this the link to be able to catch that later. That happened yesterday. Um, I lost it. Sorry. I'll come back.
You sounded great. It's so good to
What's the
see
matter,
you. I
B?
feel like
What happened?
I think she just said
Aphasia, aphasia, the freaking
Like me? You know what
yeah.
sucks? When you're like, you're bitching about, dude, I know the information. Why don't anybody listen to me? But then as you speak the information, it's like,
Like
right?
trying to jump rope over a wet fruit roll up. I mean,
Yeah, I get you. I 100% get you. Let me ask you a question. You mentioned the Institute of Noetic Sciences to me before, right? Can you tell everybody in this room what that is?
that was co-founded by Dr. Edgar Mitchell after his noetic experience that he had while he had that sense of the all and everything connected as he was the first man to actually look back and see Earth the way it was. And it's been now the chief scientific investigator is Dean Radin, who's phenomenal. And yeah, they came out during Dr. Edgar Mitchell's Zoom birthday party It was right. It was the same week as the NASA and the Mexico mummy fiasco, and not too many people caught it, but Dr. Sean Esteban something was there, and quite a few other people, and they are officially, openly, publicly in the disclosure discovery arena now.
Can you, one
Like,
of you all, I'm sorry, B, you or Holly also need to explain this. Who is Dr. Ed? I mean, how is he important? Why is he, you know what I'm saying? Because again, not all of us are on board. Like,
Edgar Mitchell.
uh,
yeah, Edgar May, not everybody that is listening, because okay, I don't think I told this room. I put this on my podcast, my YouTube. I have it all goes there. Sometimes I may have one viewer, and that viewer may not know who he is and how he plays in. So I want to start. We need to bring people on. We need to give them details, because the details is how we walk him here, right? That's all I'm asking. Tell people who he is, who he was, why he's important.
You know what really gets me about like Edgar Mitchell and that crowd? They will bang into the occult as well. And that's when that starts weaving into the phenomena. Oh God, I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole.
Well,
I've
Edgar
read.
Mitchell, I just posted to the top, like Edgar Mitchell back in, was this, I forgot when this paper was written, but, it says, I mean, Edgar Mitchell was a, astronaut that was doing like telepathic studies on, one of the moon missions. He was using Zener cards to, determine telepathy from a distance, like with someone on Earth, and then um, he got hooked up with Piharich, and there's a paper that I posted that was co-written by Edgar Mitchell and Piharich, and it's like the history of some of the what do you call it? A psychokinesis, psychoenergetic studies or telepathy, and um, it's he's one of the people that hooked up Stephen Greer with Thomas Wilson, and Edgar Mitchell was also he was a big proponent for the study of to psychoenergetics, and yeah, he started ions, but he was one of the people that stepped on the moon.
That's what I was waiting for. Before you go on, B, let me say this. One thing I do remember about him, and I'm gonna jump around here. When he was coming back from the moon, he had a moment of an epiphany. He was staring out the window. He kind of talks about it, right? I actually now know what I know. I wonder if somehow his brain popped and the Institute of Noetic Sciences, right? All of a sudden he realized consciousness right there coming back from the moon. He talks about that. I know I've seen a video and all of he put into this. Why? He didn't see an entity, a craft, anything like that. He just had a moment that he specifically remembers and talks about that he just knew what was what, right? As far as that. Anybody else remember that? And also up in the nest, I
I thought he
posted.
saw lights or something.
I, I don't know if I know on the way back from the moon he may have, but the point I know he told the story at that moment. That's when it kind of changed him. Like that's when the Institute of Noetic Sciences, things like that. And I put up in the nest too. Thanks, Red Pen and Koala. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel, Twitter, all that, all the hosts and co-hosts. So I wonder too, man. It'd be funny if it's some kind of war, humans activating humans, and then NHI activating. Who's dragging us to disclosure? I joke about that. Like, who kind of puts clues in front of me? It sounds funny, but I think that sometimes I'm like, wait, what's going on here today? I'm not gonna say too much about this. No matter what, at this point today, I had something happen that I can't understand. That's exactly what we're talking about in these rooms. That I have no doubt in my mind at this point. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what it is, man. All I know is I saw something, and I can promise you, no matter what I've said in the past, today made no fucking sense. And then the way it's Oh, God, dude, I just don't understand it, man. And it's crazy for me to talk about it because I'm trying to skirt around sound like a nut job, right? But we're talking about Institute of Noetic Sciences, right? I'm trying to skirt around it. There's no way to skirt around it. Sometimes my brain feels like it's on fire. And today, I was doing my normal thing, which is research, and that way our research is different. I take in as much information as I can, and things kind of fall in place. But today, something happened I can't explain, and yeah, dude, I don't know, man. Makes
You
someday I
should
hope I
you
can
should
talk
try to
about it.
explain it.
No, I can't, dude. I look, I can put it to you this way. Hopefully someday I can talk about this stuff, but right now, because of what I'm doing, and like I said, I have sources and things like that. And again, let me bring this to you. I'm not going to say a whole lot, but if I have sources and I'm talking about the things that I believe are real, because again, hunch, whatever you want to call it, day was different, and it actually, dude, you get validation like when David kind of came out. I mean, I've seen UFOs so much, and the way they interact in my life is different. So you spend all this time like, wait, I'm kind of fucked up. What's going on here? I think this is crazy, but today was different. Is what I'm saying. I hope I can tell you guys someday, but I'm telling you this. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't give a fuck what people say about me. I'm not going to stop talking about some of this stuff because I still can't explain how I got to where I'm at through a series of events, which are almost like 80% synchronicities that you have to have in place to get to a specific. But again, it feels like a control system, like something's put there, so I step left, but I don't know who's doing it. And you know how wild that sounds, but that's literally my life to run across shit, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that's it, and wonder, all right, dude, I got to wonder if humans are using the tech in front of me to put shit in my head, or if NHI are trying to drag and bring the disclosure. And Voodoo mentioned earlier, you know, something about who's doing disclosure. Well, maybe it's not even humans. Maybe it's fucking not. Because I think there's been continuous restarts of this shit for a reason. But greed, keeping it secret so you can keep pocketing that shit, is the reason it's being done. That's what that's where I'm leading. But shit, I don't know. I'm crazy,
Well,
right?
no, like, but also, like, what if there's an element of decision augmentation theory, like that unconscious decision making that, like Ed May, he uh, he wrote this theory called decision augmentation theory, and it's how like we unconsciously select things based off of like if you he was talking about how people would sort people into like double blind placebo studies for research, or how certain unconscious decisions are made, but there's like a precognitive aspect to that decision making, that we make it before we even know we're doing it.
Dude, that's a brilliant point. I wonder if B's going to say the same thing I am. Sam Harris, who's a philosopher slash brain guy, right? He's proved that. Like we really don't got free will because the brain's going and it synapses. Actually, it's already done by the time you've made the choice. I didn't connect those two, dude. That's crazy. What's up, B? I didn't steal it, did I? You had your
Oh no, you're fine. I don't know. Free will gets a little sticky when you start thinking about this retrocausality stuff that, again, Raiden talks about in the 2019 presidential address that I hope you guys watch. There's a lot of really, really good, dire information that absolutely ties into everything that we're doing here. And speaking of that, now Dean Raiden, who's the chief lead scientist of IONS now, was also in the initial Stargate program with remote viewing with those guys, right? And he's done a lot of verifiable uh, with science studies on these higher consciousness aspects. One thing that really excites me about what they're finding is one, finding out the differences in the genetic and the neuronal makeup in your abilities to do psi is going to greatly get rid of the replicability factor in these psi experiments that they're doing. And two, please, if you're interested, please, IONS has online free open research for people that are interested in learning these things about yourself. So you can even upload your brain MRIs and they'll give you back a 3D model that you can noodle with and see the different dimensions in your brain, and even submit your genetics. But they have the non-local bio PK, the remote viewing, location sensor, and you're able to get back live data, verified data, and be able to like alter your approaches to I love the bubbles. The bubbles is my favorite. But be able to do this kind of stuff and then be able to see that it's really empowering stuff. But I gotta step down to listener, and I know I always drop the mic like a hot potato, so sorry.
It's all right. No, thank you, B. And I'll say this. You know who else is a member of that Stargate? Jack Safadi. So I'll post that in here as well. And actually, that blew my mind. I found some old CIA. They were released back in the day, right? And there he is on there, right? He's got a couple books, how the hippies saved physics. And I just posted the other one. I think it's in the nest. It's basically the Jack Safadi story. So it's continuation, correcting some things. I listen. I try to decipher everything Jack says, and I don't do very good at that shit, man. I promise you that. I try because I know some of it's important. And like, for example, if you guys know the story, actually, Holly, you could probably tell it better than me, right?
Depends what the story is, but I
About
think
Jack when he was younger. When he was
if we
younger and got
say
the
if we
call.
say Jack's name one more time, he might appear.
Jack's fatty. Jack, come on in, brother.
He's got to say it right. Instead of Sarfarty, it's
I
Safarty.
mess it up every time, dude. My bad. I keep saying his name, bring him in here though. Like, he's one of my favorite people to read and shit, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, fuck, man. Did I really decipher what? Man, I can't understand half
No,
the
he
shit.
doesn't break it down that well.
No, and I just think that's part of the way he does things. He has his own way, right?
He's
um,
he's
it makes me laugh. But
yeah.
Shane, it's nearly 11 in the UK, and I turn into a pumpkin pretty soon. I'm up in a few hours, so I'm gonna say good night to you all.
Good night.
Keep doing it. Keep doing the work.
I'm
Thank you
gonna start
all.
just calling him Jack, by the way, Holly, because I do fuck. No, you're not the only person. I can't say it right, man. But I also
Ask him
say
about the
britches.
hot tubs.
I also say britches, and I can't fucking figure out how to say that. Every time I'm supposed to say pants, I don't. So
Holly,
Right.
thanks for getting Sean Cahill next week. I'm stoked for that.
You know, I just spoke to him about an hour ago. He's really looking forward to it. So yeah, it'll be cool. Sean's pretty much an open book to, well, as best he can be. So yeah, he's a good guy. I enjoy him. I'm glad he's
he probably thinks I'm a fucking nut job, Holly. When my shit first started, now the shit that I'm talking about here, I kind of emailed like just a couple, Gary Nolan, him. They probably think I'm a fucking whack job. Oh shit.
Sean's not that guy. You know, out of all of that kind of gang or whatever, Sean's, you know, I'm in a lucky position because I work with him and we have a company, and you know, I get to speak to him on a friend level, because I don't really talk to him about the phenomenon and his experience. We talk about other random shit, but he's a good guy and he's looking forward to the space, and you know, he's just an ordinary guy that's dealt with the most extraordinary stuff, right? But yeah, ask away. We'll have a good space with him. I think Astral's ready to post some of the detail for your photos a week. He's just inboxed me it, so I think that'll probably be out soon. But guys, I got to go. So here's Panda coming into the space. Have a
Well,
good one, my love.
Holly, enjoy
Take care.
your Halloween weekend. If I don't talk to you, I'm still trying to decide if I'm going to go to my Renfest thing. Still
What
on
do you
the
mean trying to
edge. So
decide? You have to go, bro.
it's raining in
Yeah.
Houston, so I don't know if I want to get my
Oh
cloak
man.
all muddy and deal with a bunch of mud.
Well, Matt, that sounds hilarious. I
Well,
love
have a
that.
good one.
You know what? Like, my question, I'll leave everybody. Like, what you're all gonna be for Halloween? Like, I am obviously being a black cat. On that note, over and out.
I would be Tiger King, but everyone says I look like Chuck Liddell when I tried that, so I ain't gonna do that again.
Do you
I
got
think it's on my
pictures
Twitter
of it,
too.
bro?
Yeah, it's on my
So I'll
Twitter,
get you
dude.
some
Everyone's like, "Wait,
again.
are you Chuck Liddell?" I was like, "I'm Tiger King, man. I got a cane. Chuck Liddell don't like a cane." So yeah, I could even fail at Halloween. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Retweet the space,
Edgar
guys.
Mitchell stuff we were talking about earlier. I was at the gym getting swole for Kimball, but one of my favorite things about Edgar Mitchell, or just like tidbits, is he was close with Werner von Braun, and Werner von Braun actually, had he lived longer, he probably would have been on the Institute of Noetic Sciences board. He helped them do a lot of early fundraising. Anyways, he tells the story that Werner von Braun told him that a bunch of the paperclip people, including Werner, were brought out to the Roswell crash site. And he happened to grow up, like, he was a teenager in Roswell, basically like right next to Roswell when it happened. So it's a pretty interesting story. Yeah, Shane put my video up in the nest, so I'd recommend watching it if you're curious about him. He's an interesting person.
Matter of fact, the reason I like his videos, actually, some of the first information I started taking in was literally his videos, because he does put enough information and details in there to bring people on board that don't really know about it, right? So make sure you check him out, subscribe. I'll say that Legacy, oh shit, I just realized something. Legacy Source actually knew Von Braun, right? He knew a lot of these individuals. Matter of fact, he knew individuals that were on MK Ultra. Oh shit, something's, oh man, that just hit me now. I completely missed something too. So, dude, take over real quick, Campbell. Oh my gosh.
Taking over, boys. Did you do leg day today, Red?
Back and by.
Worst co-host ever. Keep it on
Duh,
UFOs.
he said for you, Kimball.
So check it out. He mentioned that, right? And he talked about, but he also told me something else that I was just thinking about. So, Missouri UFO crash, Cape Girardeau. We've been told it's fake, right?
I never heard it was fake.
Well, me neither. Matter of fact, Legacy told me straight up for a number of reasons, but a lot of people fight that it's fake. Why?
Well,
What's the
look at
reason? What?
Joseph McMoneagle whenever he was doing that like like remote viewing into Missouri or something, and he had that almost heart attack. Wasn't he? He was looking into something there that, he tapped into something, and he's like, "Oh, that messed me up." Or, you know what I'm talking about?
I know somebody that, yeah, I know somebody that does. Actually, so check this out. I'm actually working on this one right now too, to learn more about it, because my source had said that, and I'd run into other individuals that also agree about some of this information. Go ahead. No, I don't know all this, Matthew. I don't want to pretend to. So you need to explain to people what you're talking about. Because again, I'll put this on my podcast, and not everyone knows all the details, and we're nuts about this, but I want to try to bring more people.
Well, I would have to like go back and look, but if I recall correctly, I thought it was just McMoneagle was remote viewing some site in Missouri, and he saw some beings, and I guess they touched him or something, and he had like a heart palpitation, or it physically affected him and shook him up a little. And I'd have to go back and look at that. But when you were talking about Cape Girardeau, I mean, that was in Missouri, and that was with that Baptist
Yes.
minister or something. And, that was one of the earliest crash retrievals that, that's been talked about, if I
Real quick, have y'all ever
remember.
heard of a crash retrieval where like they found the craft with like a bunch of mutilated human bodies in it?
That was NATO, right? Wasn't there a NATO team? So there's a NATO team, an individual, you can go to Eyes on Cinema. He actually has a witness interview there. And he talks about this special unit, right? Which I think that unit no longer exists there. I'm going to say it's probably up in NRO, Space Force, somewhere around there, right? But point is, you come across it, and yes, dude, human body parts, not full humans, human body parts. Speak on that, dude. Panda.
Well, I was just wondering if any. I was wondering if
Did
any
they
of
get
yours.
you?
You're talking to, because yeah, that's one of the interesting things I think, and I think it does
Say that
happen.
again. You broke up really bad, buddy. I didn't hear you.
Oh shoot, I was asking you if any of your sources have come across that. I think we're probably. I know what you're talking about. That the guy's name is like Rich something, and he's from the UK, and he does like a documentary about this stuff. I find it pretty interesting.
Some things, man, I have to take the the lack of answer or the way they answer as kind of an answer. So it's I'm gonna say yeah, because some things people will say no, and the way they say it, or hell no, and when multiple say so there's certain things that a lot of people won't, or they just won't answer. So that's the stuff that I wonder about. And yeah, I say I'm gonna tell you that it's under my opinion, that's legit, straight up legit. So use your filters, right? I was gonna say something else about oh, so Legacy Source also told me something else. Now it kind of makes sense a little bit. I don't have all that in my head still, the whole story. Like, he took photos of a craft and someone else stole him and literally took credit for him, something along those lines, right? And I'm confused, and I'm not confused. I'm thinking, wow, no way. Oh shit. Like, was it Adamansky? You know, I, who was it? It was a service member.
Adamski.
Yeah, whatever. I fuck up names. Thanks for pointing that out, asshole. You're the best co-host ever. No, check it out. So it was somebody. I can't remember. I thought it was an actual. Maybe it was somebody in the military. They actually took credit for it, took the photos or something along those lines. Now I'm thinking, oh shit. So cool, great stuff. I'm just sorry. I'm spitballing here. See, this is why I love these spaces. As we talk about this shit, I'm actually remembering stuff, conversations I had, and now because I know a little bit more, those conversations mean something entirely different. So retweet this space. This is freaking awesome. You're all alive a bunch. So intros, tell everybody about your space coming up on UFO Twitter Week, and I'll be right back.
All right. So on the first, I'm going to be interviewing Nick Gold. He's the guy behind Declassify UAP. Really bright guy. I kind of feel like no one can really compare to Steve Bassett, but he's kind of like the new up and coming Steve Bassett. He does lobbying work for the topic in DC, so I'm excited about that. And then on the third, I'm going to be interviewing Carl the Crusher, and it's going to be awesome. Tomorrow, I'm interviewing Lou Jimenez, 3:30. Hope you guys will join.
Oh, that was the wrong one. I like to fuck with Lou. I don't mind him, man.
I'm going to try and talk him back
There you
into
go.
being
Get
a
in the
believer.
details. Get in the deets. I'll say this too, man. Don't get goddamn jealous. Am I the only motherfucker that's going to be in space by myself talking to myself? Like, everybody got guests, and it's going to be like, and here's Shane, the last space of the week. So, hey, here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to show up and support me because I do like to talk about it.
Sure. Dude, you're
For real.
your own guest, dude. You don't need a guest. You're fucking old vet, right? You do Wounded Warrior shit. You don't need a guest.
I'm a psychic, bro. Don't you know? I'm a psychic, yo. So look,
Hey, old vet. I hate to call someone out in the room, so I'm not just gonna like call them out. But we do have someone pretty cool in here, and I would I would love if he would speak.
What you want to know, Matt?
I'm already talking. And
Who
here.
Jake's
Let me do this, guys. We do. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this. We always do. Not all of us know, but not all the time do they want to speak. And sometimes when they do, because they love this topic and they're trying to help, they may say shit they may regret. And so I just don't want to. Because again,
Hey,
I've had
you
to
know
delete
what?
spaces. Look, you guys don't know this, but I've deleted spaces in the past because people that were here talking with us and they're like, oh shit, man, because they're in here bullshitting, right? Having a beer, probably. I don't know. So let's not call them out by name, but
Shane,
that's cool. You can do that.
I'm gonna take the pressure off this topic and just say a couple weeks ago I was watching a little short that Jay Anderson from Project Unity put together. And in this 2-minute clip, Oak Shannon's talking about this thing he saw in New Mexico. And as I'm watching it, I'm realizing it's exactly what I saw back in July and got some crappy video of. And so just hearing his description of what he saw kind of like floored me. And it was kind of a little bit of confirmation, because it really is almost exactly what I saw. I didn't quite see like the flexing thing, but it's a wild experience.
You check out my Twitter, every photo I post, I'm casually flexing. I'm just saying. So, I mean, because you mentioned it, and that's a segue, right? So retweet the space, and we'll keep talking about it, man. These are good spaces. Matter of fact, Cypher held a really good space last time. So we have individuals come up, they don't always agree. That's always cool. Just be respectful, because we know in these rooms, I'm always right. No, messed around. Thanks for helping me host, guys. Follow the co-host and all the speakers, because this is kind of a good time. Matt, let me ask you a question. Tell everybody in the room about your experience.
My experience, which one? With the
Absolutely.
black triangles?
That's one.
So I was like 17, and I came home from my buddy's house, and my stepmom comes out, and she's like, Matt, we're seeing these black triangles, and they're going, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, I was about to be valedictorian in my class, and I'm like, you're messing with me. So I go up in my room on the second floor, and all of a sudden, I start hearing this vibration, this hum, om, 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 om. I'm like, whoa, crap, what the hell is that? So I go outside, and then I'm watching these black triangles, and they start like coming out of the clouds, and they start doing these weird formations, and this, if you look at, at the time period, I've done some more research that, I mean, I didn't know what the hell they were. And this is like near, this is in Porter, New Caney, where, it's close to the Cash Landrum incident. It's, right down the street from George Bush Intercontinental Airport. And my uncle was an astronaut, director of Kennedy Space Center and stuff. And so I'm like, what the hell is this? I've seen planes go by, but these things were hovering, and I mean, there could have been some lift crews, like they could turn on axes and like go like around each other, and they weren't like going across the sky. They were just hovering, doing like weird formations, and they didn't have any lights. There were no lights. They were shadows against the clouds. And I mean, my dad and my stepmom and me were out there just watching these things over my house. And, I've been searching for answers since then. And I've asked Dr. Valet about them. I've asked Rick Doty about them. I've asked my Uncle Bob about them. And I still can't, there, I've, I mean, I've done some more research that, I mean, these didn't look like Harriers. These were equilateral triangles, delta shape. And
Do you have any idea? Do you have a guess as to how far away they were?
no, they were beneath the cloud cover at the time. But somebody else had reported to New Fork or something that they were seeing floating rocks. And but it was probably a different time of the day. But whenever you look at Porter, Texas, May 11th, 1997, they traced they were talking about which way they were going off 59 to 1314, and that was like they were pretty much going around where my house was, and but I was underneath these things, and they were triangles. So I just don't
That's
know what they
spooky, man.
were. I mean, there were multiple ones of them. So
Screen, you're next, man. I want to hear tell everybody about yours. That's why I brought that. Thank you, Matthew.
Matt spooked away our listener.
Our listener. What?
Did you see who was in here before?
I sent you a DM, old vet.
I don't pay attention, man.
Oak
Ever.
Shannon was
I'm
in
literally up
here.
here.
Matt called it out.
Man, I have to check the DM. I have no idea. Great. I wasn't even on my best behavior. So I hope it's not somebody. Oh shit. So you're being serious, man. I thought you're talking about,
Yeah,
you
no, I
know.
wasn't gonna call his name out because I didn't want to spook him too
Well, I don't have no.
much.
You made me think about different people, man, because I think there's quite a few gifted individuals in these rooms, right, Tiff? You're one. I'm looking at that third eye right in the head on her profile picture.
Yeah,
So
I was talking about Zim, by the way. Looks like he came back.
I'm so confused, man. Don't play with my heartstrings.
Roll tape back, bro.
All right, hey, screen go. I want to hear about your triangle.
Yeah, mine was kind of like Matt's. I noticed this hum, and this was in my backyard. Very low, like Matt said, not like up in the sky. Like this was like whatever force it was giving off, it was pushing down on the tops of the trees in my backyard. Like that's how close it was. Um, it was making this hum noise, like wom, 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 wom. It was floating like a boat would float in the water when it's anchored. You know, the way it kind of like just bobs and weaves with the water. Like that's what it was doing. And then what I thought was it looked like an equilateral triangle, like Matt said, and when I thought it would like go towards what I thought was the front, it just kind of locked in place and quit floating around or hovering, and it kind of slid to the right, like it was on ice or something, and it was dead silent, and then it went invisible at that point. It's probably like maybe 30 seconds total, but was like the craziest thing I've ever seen. But it did have lights. It had a like a plasma ball in each corner, like a little mini sun, but those were the only lights I saw on it. But I guess it would have kind of looked like a floating rock if I wasn't close because it was so smooth. It looked like it was molded or something, but it looked like slate or like it was just so smooth. I remember that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, hey, Tiff, you want to come up and talk? Probably not. She might be a fan. I just went over. Don't put people on the spot, but I'll just throw her on the spot. So I shouldn't have done that. My bad, Tiff. My bad.
The thing I saw when it moved, it was like if you just imagine a plane flying forward, and then from above, someone just drops a little thumbtack in like on the far side of its left wing or one of its wings, and it's like its trajectory went from straight to bam, just like instant pivot. You know what I mean? Like there was no inertia or like I don't know. It was almost looked like a CGI like fake shit.
Can I say before we go on that if you're coming across something that your mind has not seen before and doesn't really quite understand, it'll do that to you. It So if we don't have let's say an image of something happening, and suddenly the first time we get to see it, and it's incomprehensible for MH370 things, portals, things like that. That's what I'm talking about. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot, Tiff. I brought you up here. So we had a female speaker, and I also, because you post actually quite a bit of fire in your posts, right? You do research. So tell everybody why you're in the subject.
Well, I won't go into like heavy detail, but I had a download experience. I've always been woo my whole life though. And I would say that I'm in the subject because I am in a place in my life where I can do that. You have to have some free time or you're gonna go crazy. Like, because you'll be haunted by the subject if you're into it and you're not giving it any attention. Like, it just bothers you. That's just inevitable. And I thankfully have time to like immerse myself in it. But I think there's a lot of things going on, and having a download is just really weird. Um, Especially if you've not like ever really I was like not into UFOs before that. I was, but I wasn't like this the way I am now every day, all day. Basically hanging out with UFO people and talking UFOs and looking at news, and it's just like an endless everyday cycle. Um and yeah, that was in 2017. So it's been just, and that also happens to be the year that Lou Elizondo, that whole thing with Lou Elizondo happened. So I guess maybe the phenomenon was heightened then or something. But it just changes you. Just like anybody, when they have any kind of experience with something phenomenal, if you've seen a ghost or something spooky happen or something moved or you've had a download or even if like you've just heard voices in general that you can't see, it's just um, people who experience something just so strange, it stays with them forever. But I'm not sure what you really wanted me to talk about. I was just saying why I'm here.
Talk about why you're here. You did just that. So thank you for doing that. I also posted in the nest, guys. So if you're just joining us, I can't remember what space I talked about. Was the last space Project Preserve Destiny? So I'm under the impression, not just that, you can kind of go through and realize that shit's legit. And if you step over and you listen to John Ramirez and his quotes on the Human Genome Project, Jason Mitercorp, and what they kind of discovered, the fact that we're hybrids, and some of those are tweaked a little bit more. And I was confused for a bit, like what's the difference between the Space Kids and Project Preserve Destiny? Well, then I started looking at it as, okay, Project Preserve Destiny was 1.0, and it was basically from the treaties, right? We kind of had to do it, we did it, but then we also took that and weaponized it, like picking up the enemy's AK-47 and using it, right? So hybridization within the government, extra hybridization. So think about this. If what I said is true about what John Ramirez said about individuals already being tweaked to have that ability to communicate, don't you think our United States government would look for them and try to super soldier them? Because they didn't just try, they they have programs. I was going to say they have programs. And those programs, I think, is what Lou Elizondo's talking about when he says you need to tamper on how you want this, right? How you want disclosure. I think the book's coming out. The things they're about to talk about is what's going to bring it. Because in the preview of the Scott Andrews book, he talks about coming across paperwork and things like that. Imagine that. What are we looking for? Paperwork. If these programs exist that I think exist, they're based on this tech, reverse engineering of non-human intelligent biologics. Right? That's nuts. And it sounds crazy. Then it makes you start thinking, oh, what about Dolce then? That must be a thing. So I again will tell you that crash retrieval, it's not about any of that shit. Not about that shit. It's literally about the fact that not only, like Thomas Bearden says, the one human problem, like the solution, the United States government's been making the solution, been creating it. And I think that's what's coming. What's up, Tiff?
I honestly, I don't think that's it. Not to be controversial or anything with you. The biologics is not it. It's the money, it's the tech, it's the Cold War. I think that sentiment that Gresh was trying to convey, Ross and Gresh through all this, is that there's an arms race going on and multiple countries are involved. You've got some countries willing to relinquish. Like I saw something today about was it the Netherlands or Denmark? I believe they relinquished a UFO to the U.S. And obviously South America has done that for us, like referring to Virginia and whatever. Canada works with us, so it's like Russia has their own collection area, I guess, and you've got China who will never share with us, Korea never going to share with us, and so these people, so we need like something actual out of the government's hands, but they seem to be on top of it, like they seem to know right away that this is going to be a need for collection.
Can I say this? I agree with you. I think we're the same point, actually. Let me ask you, if everything I'm talking about, making a super soldier who can do the things that supposedly Scott Andrews and this super soldier program can do we not think that some of those individuals wouldn't make it into the civilian sector somewhere and be creating good, maybe creating bad? And one thing we need to tamper as well, we all think that people in these programs are doing the dark shit, weaponization. No, not necessarily. I never thought about it that way, right? There are people in these programs that are creating things that save veterans, humanity, things that help humanity. So that's something I had to fix, right? Because I'm thinking dark. It's these No, not all these individuals or programs, people in them are part of this whole cabal type bullshit. That we need to kind of fix, though, because I never once thought about the fact that they would. Some of them be like, yeah, greater for good, right? What's up, Tiff?
I'm gonna say something just like it's just crazy thought that has formed in my mind recently, with the all the videos for the soldiers and stuff at war, and like there, I recently had seen. I actually believe it was thanks to that Cobra Gold file that I showed you. I looked into some other things, and China, I believe they have like some special unit that they have like an entire advertisement for, like like a coordinated video of all these soldiers that are like super soldiers or whatever, and they like do flips and like all these little things, and it literally feels like a commercial, like get your super soldier now, but that's the way the videos for the current like situation, they're like, this is IDF, and it's like a really like compelling, like, ooh, wow, and I noticed a lot of militaries are doing that. Just the problem is the feeling of like it's also like a Coca-Cola commercial or something. It shouldn't feel that way.
I,
I'll say on top of that, hold on real quick, Matthew. I just want to piggyback on that. I will say that yes, matter of fact. So one of the first things I came across when I started researching indigo children, one of the first studies, and who were taking it seriously, were the Chinese. So then it was UCLA sort of did a study, and I agree. Yeah, there's no doubt they've been going hard because the whole MH370 BlackRock thing. I think that's because just good old fashioned greed, wanting to be the best in the world. Go, Matt.
so I knew a super sailor, and I wouldn't say a super soldier; he was a sailor. But you know, back a long time, long time ago, he sort of taught me a little thing or two, and I'll tell you those Shaolin stuff that they do. I mean, you can watch like those kids at the Shaolin training centers. I mean, some of the stuff they do to kids are cruel, and the way the Chinese look at it is like you either rise to the occasion, or you're just not going to have a place because they have so many people. But I will say that there are there are people who can do phenomenal things. There's, like we were mentioning Dean Radin earlier. There's a book on was it, didn't he write Supernormal or something like that, about like certain yogis and what they can do? But I'm telling you, there's but the way some of these, and actually, I watched that movie. Well, we were talking about Soldier earlier, Synchronicity, uh, with Kurt Russell. I was actually shown that. I watched it with him. That was the first time I ever saw that movie, and it's these people who do these things, that they really do have good hearts. The good hearts.
Matt's over here hanging out with super soldiers, and I'm trying to get my grandpa to go to the bar with me just so I have a friend. I gotta live your life, Matt.
I'll send you a book. I'll send you a book. I'll tell you a little bit, but it's not for everyone else. But I'll recommend one for you.
Please do. And look, I agree with a lot of that. Like I said, I'm only here now, and I'm just a recent kind of brain popper trying to figure out what the hell in the world psionics are, psychics are. Like, I don't even know. Like, if someone called me, said I had psychic ability, I wouldn't even know what that consists of. I know what I talk about in these rooms, like RV and things like that. But I had someone call me that once, and I really like, wow, I've never thought about that, but I don't know what that entails. And that sounds weird, but I really don't. Because again, and you know what the first thought was when they called me that? I don't ever want to say that word. Because why? Labels, right? And that's wild. And I always thought it was something different. But the the person I kind of heard it from, right? I would listen to that over myself on it. And so somebody want to explain to me the difference. Where's B at? She'd probably explain that. Maybe they're the same. I do not know. And there's a damn good chance it's just the United States government put shit in my head to lead you all over a cliff. That's not the case. I mean, stay
Well,
here and retweet the space, but
like this person told me, like when I was young, this was, I mean, I guess I was at the edge of 17 and all kinds of, I mean, y'all could believe me or not. I mean, I don't really care. But this person, they told me about psychic spying and how they sort of were using that against, what was his name? Noriega in Panama when they went in there. And there's I can show you that, like, they actually have, like, there was like some special underwear that Noriega wore, and we had our, and this is straight up,
Was
Was
he
he
Mormon?
Mormon?
psychics were, well, no, I mean, he was trying to do
Jinx.
some witchcraft, and it's actually at Delta Force headquarters. Like, I think the underwear or something is like on display at Fort Bragg.
Matt, if you're gonna send Old Vet a copy of Making Friends for Dummies, can you send it to me too?
What's up, y'all?
what's up, Jordan?
I got it too.
Not much. I don't have a whole lot of time. I kind of got in late, but I kind of wanted to give a little shout or throw a little something out there if that's all right.
Do it.
I kind of just want to. I think you and Stone are both kind of on the right track. I mean, I don't think because one side of this is a multifaceted thing, and I think one of the biggest problems in UFO Twitter and this whole thing is people want to compartmentalize the physics, and they want to compartmentalize the misinformation, and they want to compartmentalize the UFOs, and they want to compartmentalize, the secret government stuff, and it's like that's what they want. They want us to look through a fractured kaleidoscope, and it's never going to get pulled together. And I don't think that one person's experience necessarily needs to should be, discount another. And to quickly circle back to that, it's like, it definitely is. There's definitely biological manipulation happening. Look into what's called fetal bovine serum. Um, cows, or sapiens, we can basically use their blood to clone and there's all kinds of crazy biological tech that is happening behind the scenes. And if you want to talk about money, I mean, you can buy like 500 liters of this stuff and it's like $1,000. And we slaughter cows by the jillions. And this stuff is just sold to Merck, and, by the pallet load. I used to work for a company that actually refined it. I have no clue what it does, but I know it's a $1 billion a year industry. And I think it's very, very curious. It has some very interesting properties. It's worth a lot of money. So you can kind of look into that. If you want to, my guy, I think you might find some interesting stuff there. But I just wanted to kind of tell everybody, like, my thought process is the phenomena has a dark comedy. It's got little pieces of truth kind of hidden all over the place. So, I live in Cape Girardeau too. I was actually just talking to my guy today. I was down at Red Star Baptist Church today. I drove out to the fields where apparently MO 41 went down. I'm kind of like in an interesting spot in my life geographically and spiritually and all that good stuff. But there's some real stuff cooking out there, and there's good forces and there's bad forces. But it's fascinating to be part of the larger conversation. And I just want to remind everybody, we're all kind of looking for the same truth at the end of the day. So,
Dude, Jordan, I'm so jealous you're over there too, man. Thank you for talking. And I agree with you, actually. I try my best to, I'm a dick sometimes. Don't get me wrong, guys. I get angry, but hurt just like everybody. But I try to, we don't always agree, but I just try to promote the fact that, man, we're all looking for the same shit. Some of us may be digging at the wrong answers, but we're not going to pull away from the wrong if we won't listen to other people. And half the time we're so angry about bullshit that doesn't even relate to this. That's what I'm saying. And who do you think promotes that? It's not necessarily us. All sides are at work here. That's what I'm saying.
amen, amen. And you're saying something about being psychic. I think too, even this conversation is psychic. Like we have found each other. We're all very far away, but we're all kind of in the same space. I don't discount the mundane as special. I think that's something that society has programmed us to do, is to not really wonder at the wonderful things that happen all the time. It's kind of made us just, oh, that's just a thing that happened. It's like, no, stop, take a breath, think about it. What did just happen? Why did it just happen? It could just be a neutral thing, or, in the right hands, it could be something totally different to the discerning. The phenomena, again, is engaging all kinds of people through time and space in many different ways. So just be aware whenever you have that little glitch in the matrix moment. Breathe it in, because it really fucking happened. You're probably the only person that noticed it. Don't discount it.
Dude, Jordan, that's awesome, actually. Yes, listen to him. For someone who kind of went through shit like that, right? A constant battle with, am I crazy? Literally. The amount of time I spend, doesn't matter what I do or how I prove it to myself, I'll still fall back into, because it's not normal, not every, and talking about it, I still do that to myself. So that's poignant, man. And if there's other people in the rooms that you don't understand it, yeah, take that. Thank you, Jordan. That's awesome, man. Intros.
Yeah, I
What kind of questions you're
really
going to
vibe
ask?
with.
What are your questions you're going to ask Nick? And have you told everybody in the rooms? You should come up with some really good questions to get information out of them and post them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I have a few written down, but I liked your idea of maybe not having a ton of people in the space, but having people kind of submit questions, kind of, keep it formal a little bit.
And the reason I say this, bro, not that I don't have a speaker. You got me as a speaker no matter what, right? But my point is, you do it that way because no matter what, there are individuals that would prefer, and I've ran into it in person at I'm a conference groupie. Anytime there's a speaker and they take questions, people get up and then, instead of asking a question of someone whose time we may never get again, who's crazy important in this topic, they want to tell their experience, which is not the time and the place and things. But there's also trolls, and there's also, by trolls, I mean Green Streets. They revive, and not mean bad people. Their job is clicks. Clicks is doing the opposite because that's all they can do right now. So, right? I don't know, man. All I'm saying is this. You do it that way. Like, I guess I didn't tell everybody how we're going to do it in here, did I? That was the last space? Or was that in here?
I think that was the last space.
Man, sorry, guys. We did a space, and then we dumped to this space. So, when I have someone, let's just say, imagine I have someone come to my space, right, to speak, right? I have a speaker. My point is, I was going to have the thread. The thread, they have an option. They can type it out, or they can put a voice now. You can do voice. And you have the ability, my plan is, to play the voice so everybody can hear it, whatever. But that way you can weed out the bullshit. Because when I have something like that, or spaces like these, even these spaces, and we're all doing that now, so I'm not complaining. But if you get a big name, the first thing you get is people who want attention, and that's it. So yeah, I do that intros, get people to start their questions. Hell, have them ask you the voice ones and say, it's a bonus if it's a good one. They hear your voice, sexy, right? I do that shit. That's what I plan on someday.
Yeah, I think it depends on the guest, probably. Like, yeah, because
Well, no,
if
you can
it's
also listen. Not all guests are like, no, I don't want to talk to. Some maybe no, that's fine. They can handle assholes. Not all of them want to deal with it. That's what I'm saying. It's a good way to do it, and then later on say, hey, it's always an option. But when you have some guests, I'm telling you, people only want attention. Let me tell you this. If you come into space and there's a speaker and the first thing you do is promote your space, then that's my point. Yeah, you know how many times I've heard shit like that? I'm like, what the hell? No question. In my space, we get it. We're all here for that. But some of us are here for answers to questions, not, hey, can I get some money? Grifters, can I borrow it? I don't get shit like that, right? So I'm here for non-toxic bullshit where we're doing all of this and we're talking. So I appreciate no one screaming in the rooms except for me to say, be nice. You can come in here and call somebody a grifter, but if you do, all I ask is you better be able to walk me to it instead of just calling names. I hate that shit. with a passion. Because if you're an intellectual, if you have a brain, you don't take someone's word on it that, hey, that guy's a bad guy. What you do is, like everything, you go through, filter your information, and that's what's important. So that being said, let's walk you over to post some shit in this thread. Let's walk people to it. You got questions? We can come up here. If you want me to talk about something, just throw it out there. Sometimes I remember things and I will. Sometimes I forget them. But everyone's welcome in these rooms. I only ask for information. I don't give a crap about what you think about people, because all of us are in here and we're all different. And I get so sick of that. It's like the personalities need to go. Bring your knowledge, which most of us are doing tonight. So please know this is an awesome space. Let's keep this shit going. Screen, what's up, dude? I'll say Screen's smart as fuck while I'm waiting on him, actually. Matter of fact, why don't you give us some
Probably
secrets?
seeing another TR3B.
Give us some secrets on Burroughs, man. We won't tell them.
Dude, my bad. I had just walked back away from the phone. I have it on charge. But yeah, no, that's what's cool about most people, right? Like Burroughs or Steve Mira, these are just people that like are doing the same thing we are, right? Like they experience some things and they're interested in it, and you know, like that's how you like relate to these people, you know. So it's like Burroughs was willing to basically give me his take on it, you know, just because of my experience, which was really cool. You know, I happen to agree with a lot of what he said. He basically just backed up that TR3Bs are along the lines of AI drones. And the AI is so advanced that it's like almost like consciousness, basically. Like it's got its own thing going on, which I find very interesting.
God damn, that might
Um,
be Julia, bro. That might be Julia.
Dude, it could be.
Who's this Julia
Reals.
people you
It's
keep
just,
talking
it's the,
about?
it's literally, that's the shit as far as AI goes. That's why I was so freaked out that BlackRock has it for analytics.
Is the new movie, or is it a show, Julie? It's like a smart. It looks like a smart UFO or something like that. But I've heard Carl the Crusher talk about like a rogue sentient AI or something, or there's some kind of like AI out there that's already sentient and stuff, and it's like keeps hiding itself in like a quantum state.
Think
Well,
about that, right?
so
We
change of the
lost
scene.
my bad.
No, no, dude, don't apologize. I stepped on you, but I had to say this. I was actually researching and writing a bunch of stuff up about Chains of the Sea, Lou Elizondo's quote, what I know, what you just said, what we're talking about. So think about that. Chains of the Sea. Do you guys remember Lou Elizondo's quote about it? Let me see if I can find that shit, right? He's just kind of like, I check it out. It's kind of an out of box way to look at the phenomenon. I recommend that. With what you just said, go to xcorp.com. There's a little photo with a blurb, a drone within a drone. That's that. So that's a good point. Keep going. I didn't mean to step on you, screen.
No, I was just gonna add on to about the rogue AI thing. Whether you believe this or not, that F-35 that were dude ejected down the street for me. You know, they said that they lost that. Imagine like if there was a rogue TR3B. You know what I mean? Like, how insane would that be?
Dude, it's funny because I think I made a joke. I posted it once. Sentient, right? The UAP AI tracking. It's pretty amazing shit. And I just kind of jokingly said that's probably who Richard Budd is, like a rogue code NHI put in there for all of this shit, right? Just a rogue bit of code. That's all he is.
So if he's Agent Smith, you know, but anyways, I posted to the top about smart rocks in space. There was a program called Brilliant Pebbles. It was like Smart Rocks, Brilliant Pebbles, and they were back in the '80s trying to create artificial intelligent like interceptors for uh, nuclear warheads that might enter, you know, the Earth's atmosphere from space, from an ICBM or whatever. But anyways, they were trying to create some KKVs or these interceptors with artificial intelligence that could just, like artificial intelligence satellites. Well, they only got one time that it's been told that yes, we did use artificial intelligence on the satellite with the Smart Rocks Buoy and Pebbles program, and it like was around the moon, and then it went off into space, because it was just okay. It's going to operate, by itself without any human, input, and but if that technology was put into a black project, we'd never know. Or if somebody else was doing something with it, we wouldn't know. I'm just saying there is evidence for the Smart Rocks program.
Do you think there's, given everything we know we're talking about, like especially like reverse engineered biologics, that can mean a lot. I know we've talked about MK Ultra Super Soldier program. Let's move over to something different. What about weaponization of such a thing, or just medication, or take something that, do you imagine there's people working on things like that, or things that aren't necessarily, Matt would know more than me about possibility of patents existing that help humanity that he may possibly think are related to something like that. I'm new to this shit.
Like what were you saying exactly?
Like, have you ever come across patents or anything like that that you think that's medically that you think is maybe it's reverse engineered biologics? And it doesn't have to be bad.
Well,
it can be something good, right? But something that's just like, bam, it came out of, what is that, right? And because I don't have that science expertise that you do.
Well, there is some stuff. I think it's from this original thread. Like, I think this original thought process was from when 7/27/23. It's very interesting to me that David Grush used the term non-human biologics. Timothy Taylor works in biologics research, blah, blah. It was very specific terminology. And that's what got me on this idea of like these, Peter Levenda, he talked about cyborgs in space at his like Contact in the Desert. It's going to be in talked about in his Secret Machines War. But there was there's this like this one thing I have to look for it, but the United States was creating a response system based off the immune response of like, the human body, and with certain interceptors, and it's like you have an initial signal, and then it amplifies to get confirmation, and then it gets bigger, and then certain more things happen. Probably was it the command control? Was it like the? Was it this? But they have studied these systems that everything's got to be lightning quick when shit happens. I mean, if somebody really wants to do something, they want a sucker punch. And so you got to have a fast response to some of these things. So, we give a lot of computational ability to computers that can make lightning quick decisions based off of what we can think might happen. I mean, that's the whole point of war games, right?
Right on, brother. Go ahead, Screen. Actually, a lot of good points too, man, Matt.
Yeah, I just want to back that stuff up, actually. Matt's right. Like, when you're moving, like, as fast as these drones and stuff are moving, like, you can't even flick your finger to turn on a blinker or move a control stick. You just want to be thinking, right? And that's the kind of stuff we're getting into with this technology. And, Burroughs also told me that consciousness is the new weapon. That's what he was saying, that they're weaponizing the UAP, basically. whether that's having an experience like he did, or if they can actually control you. That's debatable. But they're obviously manipulating it. But Steve Miller talks about biocircuits. And to kind of explain what that is, it's like just making like a circuit out of like biology. So just picture like almost like nanobots, but like a gel that you can like program basically. And that's like what Matt was talking about with like the AI making the decisions and stuff like that. And it just gets really deep, and the AI is like literally changing everything. And I think that's also part of it. I think that might be like what we're communicating with a lot of the times when people have experiences, some type of tech. But that's even beyond the drones.
So let me say this. One of the things that is important to remember, frame of reference, right? So if they're in these craft and it's a gravitational, the frame of reference is going to actually make it so what they're seeing is completely different than what we're anticipating out there. Matter of fact, I think I got the formula for inertial cancellation that I figured out, or not figured out, like I'm fucking Jack, right? No, that someone gave me. Yeah, I got this formula, man. So check it. I'm saying that just like all the theories, the frame of reference is very important. So if you're going faster, you go changes things. So for us, it's going to look completely different. So yeah, they'd still be on that stick and they'd still be doing their thing. Wouldn't change at all. Matter of fact, what I'm told with our shitty reverse engineered tech, they have a very real capability of going in excess of some crazy ass speeds. And they have, because of the way the craft works, inertia cancellation's part of it up to a certain point, right? And from what I can tell now, I don't know, man. I was under the impression that we couldn't even leave Earth with some of these things, but maybe I'm wrong about that after talking to other people. 100% wrong. What's up, Matt?
Yeah, if you look up at the top, I posted the link to the. It says perhaps the idea for a more complex system is already being designed, and it's this paper on transferring insights from complex biological systems to the exploitation of netted sensors in command and control enterprises. Biologically inspired methods for agile command and control. So you can look at that. I mean, it's interesting, like a human nerve, human immune system to use for, you know, um, quick control of mobilizing um, air defense forces and stuff.
Dude, I'm going to ask Pandolfi if he wants to do a space. Go ahead, Screen. I'm not joking either. You think I'm fucking around? I'm going to do it.
You were talking about some of these things going to space and stuff, and Boeing has the X-37B, which allegedly Grush was the pilot of. That's not even classified, and that's a like a low orbit type of drone. It's autonomous. It orbited Earth for almost like 3 years and came back all on its own. Which is wild stuff. And like I said, that's not even classified. That's just regular stuff.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think there are. Matter of fact, so the Tic Tac, the command and control, whatever the hell, that's also named Julia. Or it's been called Julia, hasn't it? What the fuck? Do you guys remember Lou Elizondo told us, it was on Twitter actually, on my page. We were just talking about Julia, weren't we? Lou Elizondo talks about and mentions the term of Julia. I think was he referring to the time when I think it was some operators were taking a weapon out of the ocean, a bomb or something like that, and something came up, grabbed that shit. And there's a story from, what is it, 4chan as well, that talks about Julia, and it's a command and control facility that creates tic tacs that it needs for whatever specific thing. One's science, one's this, one's that. What the shit, man? Which now I'm wondering too, man, because the NSA has Gydra. It's the elite reverse engineering suite. Did we get our Julia from Julia Crash? Holy shit, dog. AI biologics, man. DARPA's Julia. What? Dude, I'm gonna have to look at that. That's holy shit, man. Think about it. All right, dude, I gotta
AI could have started some religions.
follow my cult, and you can do it for $99.99. Tips are open right now. And I'm serious, they are open. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Something that I always thought was very interesting in my like studies of UFO stuff is during the 60s, all those like the Socorro, New Mexico, Valensole, France. There was another one in Italy, I believe, but it was like these little egg-shaped crafts with little short people, and they were collecting soil samples. Everybody reports that they were just collecting dirt and plants, and like they were very like just very to the business. And they had some had cattle prods, just like all people are different. All aliens are different, or whoever these things are. But some, were aggressive, and some were not. Like the one in France had a cattle prod, and I think Socorro may have. But there was another incident where they were very friendly. I think alien pancakes may have been the same category of
Jim. Yes.
beings.
Yes.
Yeah, so like if the Tic Tac, maybe they are the Tic Tac creators, if whatever, and they're just coming up with better, safer ways for themselves to collect these samples by having these like Tic Tac drones go out and do it. It never sounded to me like these things were off planet because they were like coming all over the place, all over the world, collecting samples and blaming us basically that we don't know how to take care of things or something, or ruining everything was one of the incidences. So very curious.
Oh my gosh. That's so what if okay, so we take Dr. Michael Masters, shout out, met him down at UFO Congress. I don't know if I don't tell anybody. We got stoned as hell. And
Don't
it
tell Ken.
oh why? You get jealous?
Oh
Big
yeah,
time. He'll block you.
because he
Uh
wants to have this Twitter space with Michael Masters.
oh well, he's a good guy,
He's
friend. Sorry, Kent.
supposed to be on UFO Twitter week, I think.
Anyway, we're back there getting stoned. Wait, I'm telling a story about getting stoned. He has a great book. He talks about time travelers, right? I'm sitting there thinking, because I also saw somebody post it looked like a work badge. That work badge symbol was identical to what was on the damn craft. And right, not saying that's them, but if that's the NHI and we had figured out a way to reverse engineer it, how many of them are them? Because I'll tell you now, Cape Giraudot's legit. If we had it that early, we had tech by the 50s. If we had tech by the 50s, a vast, not vast, I'll say a lot of the stuff that people were seeing were craft. That's why Blue Book and shit happened. It wasn't because, oh, we don't want, it wasn't about the aliens so much. It was about the fact that we already had shit going. We wanted to squash that shit, right? 100%. What do you think, Screen? I'm full of shit, right?
No, I want to back that up a little bit actually. Like, I'd like to remind everybody Tesla had a remote control boat. Back at the World Fair, early 1900s, everybody thought it was witchcraft or tricks. Some people thought a monkey was in there driving it. All kind of crazy stuff like that. And the precursor to the CIA, got all his stuff right. I think Roswell actually was the start of us, with all the drones and things like that. It was right before CIA actually formed and stuff. All the same people are kind of involved. But then besides that, like, you can kind of separate the UAP into different categories. You can see some that kind of stay consistent over the years. Some that seem more like automated systems like the Sphere Network or maybe some of the triangles. Then you have which to me looks like our evolution of messing with the tech, from like the Roswell time and on. Basically, you hear a lot of them start out as like uh, like these mercury drives, right? So they achieve the anti-gravity effect, but then they can't maneuver them. So they still need, like, they would float, but then they still had to push them one way or another. And that's where they would use like fans or jet engines, like maybe Landrum, Cash Landrum, things like that. and it seems like the tech kind of evolves over time, and there's like these different categories. But I think all of it can be true at once.
You know what's really kind of true? That we started testing for nuclear. The Manhattan Project, 19, what, I think 42 is when we started testing. When did the Cape Girardeau happen? When did that happen? I can't remember now. Go ahead, Tiff.
So somebody who you may want to have a conversation with, because I may have said I believe that they're on planet, and because I subscribe to the breakaway civilization thought process. Like it's the only thing that really makes sense to me if I want to exclude like the complications of space travel, etc. But Frank Milburn, now he thinks that they are using wormholes, but they have to exit the ocean because that's where the wormholes. I don't know. He left the conversation like pretty quickly after, and I haven't seen him since. But he has some very interesting theories on how these Tic Tacs and the little Socorro, New Mexico guys and all that stuff are coming from how they're arriving.
X portals, NASA's boom tubes. I agree. Actually, Frank's a good friend, man. And actually, I should, if you haven't heard, I actually haven't heard from him in a minute either. Check on him, dude. He's smart as fuck. I'm
He
gonna try
is,
to
and
find
you
one of his.
should interview him on UFO Tutor Week because I would like to hear him go over
I'll
Eskridge
ask it,
and
dude. I 100% will.
Hemingway.
I will 100%. I didn't even think that's a good idea. I'm gonna ask him no matter what. I actually want to. Actually, I'm gonna be truthful. My goal is this: I'm gonna do a Wounded Warrior fundraiser no matter what, me or not. So I'd like to get a bunch of veterans at least, right? So and Frank's that man. So great dude, man. Matter of fact, one of his papers is important. Look, somebody mentioned Roswell. What if some of Roswell was like a time traveler and shit? Like some of that. Like there's 5 crashes that we combine for Roswell, a series of them. What if some of those weren't all NHI? I'm not saying that all of them were, but what I've seen stuff places that I'm like, wait, what? That make me, because now we know what we know, and you guys had mentioned Tesla. Herrick had done some kind of a coil. They used to I say coil, it's a cage. It's not necessarily a Faraday cage. It's almost like a reverse, right? Focus in there, that kind of thing. Or blocking out, but keeping, again, his elf waves. He knew which hertz he wanted in. So I imagine it was tuned to keep only that in. And because of that, you get max amount. You get shit. Oh, shit.
Tesla used to shoot
Shit.
lightning
Wait,
bolts
Matt.
from
Wait,
his
wait.
fingers.
Dude, what did they used to do to them? They used to beat the shit out of them, cause trauma, to cause extreme neuroplasty. That extreme neuroplasty was then tailored in these cages with those fucking elf waves, which is, oh shit. That's what that whole DARPA shit I was just talking about is. Oh my fucking God, I should have saw that. My bad, dude. Take over intros.
That DARPA
Such a
shit
mad
though.
scientist.
Sorry, guys. I get excited. That just came to me, but that's legit. I don't even remember what I said. This is recorded, right? I don't remember what I
Yep.
said, but that's legit. I don't even fucking remember it.
It
But
sounded like
yeah.
you were saying that they were like harvesting loosh into a Faraday cage or something, and then summoning jinns.
Did I say that?
No,
I'll have
I
to go back.
think you. I
It's
think you
recorded,
were.
so I don't give a shit. But it makes sense. I don't give a
But
fuck. I'm gonna have to research the
you were
shit out of it.
using
Oh my
human
God.
transducers of bioenergy, like to amplify like a certain charge
Stealing
signal.
loosh, yeah, as an energy source.
Well, but what I say is this. We know now that they can tailor extreme neuroplasty, which my dumbass talked about earlier without even thinking about this. You want to create that shit, right? And they talk about all these individuals talk about how they indoctrinate them, which later on it changed. They figured out they could use waves and shit. I'm just saying, sorry I got excited, guys. I wasn't mad. I just like, oh shit. I didn't think that's how it
No,
works
I
with
love
me,
it.
man.
It's so honestly, it's awesome. It's the way everybody should start talking.
Yeah, dude, that's how I get to my grandpa. Listen, today when I told you guys something happened and I can't really talk about it, I went, oh fuck. And my grandpa goes, what'd you say? Now the grandpa, he gets mad if I cuss, man. So it's just like, yeah, dude, I mean, it's like that. It's like, even by myself, I'll be like, oh shit, just
Eureka!
screaming. Yeah, scream it. Exactly. Eureka. Go ahead, Garrett.
Hey, what's up, buddy? I had a question for Matt Monroe. I saw he was up. I had a question for him.
Go ahead, man. If I'll tell you what I think. I don't know if I'm right or
Yeah, no
wrong,
worries,
but
bro. I just wanted to ask, what do you think crashed at Roswell and why? That was, I know it's a pretty cut and dry
oh
question, but I
man,
wanted to know your
yeah.
opinion because I consider you pretty well read on a lot. I think you're one of few people that have read Sinister Forces 1, 2, and 3. I was just curious to see what you thought about it, and I wanted to hear your take. And old vet, you're welcome to give your 2 cents too. But I was very curious what you think crashed at Roswell and why, and who do you think gave the most compelling take on it? In my opinion, and just to caveat, because I'm going to go back down to listener, I believe Tom DeLonge saying it was German from Argentina, and I'd like to know if you guys agree or disagree with that.
Well, I like I've traced back like if you go into the Army stuff and you look up unconventional aircraft research, there's a document what was going on at the time. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but at when you start looking at what was going on in Oregon and Washington, and there was a before Roswell happened, you sort of trace things from the Northeast down to Roswell during this time period, and in one of them in Oregon, people were seeing these discs, and in one of them they said they saw a plane. So if the Russians were dropping remote controlled drones, that later on we had our SR-71 drones that were dropped from the mothership. I mean, that would be a very classified thing to, especially if the Russians were dropping drones in our nuclear, the place where we house nuclear aircraft or aircraft that would drop nuclear bombs and stuff. And if they reached all the way to that interior, to one of our most secure facility, that's serious. Now, I mean, we can talk about all the other stuff about Roswell and the metals that bent and stuff and memory metal and such. I mean, I really have no idea. I don't think that's one of those that I don't think it was a weather balloon. I think that there was something classified, and if we were reverse engineering shit, you would want to, because if the Russians did that, and if Stalin was trying to incite fear into us, that they could use that publicity to make a win for their country. I mean, I don't know. I really don't know, but tracing back some of the Cold War research and looking at that, 2 weeks before, whatever it was, before Roswell, there was an invasion, I guess you could say, because you had Kevin Arnold stuff that happened up in Washington, and you had the stuff going on in Oregon, and there were other sightings along the way. So it's one of those that gives you pause. And
Can I call a
Corso,
timeout real quick and ask you
Hold
yeah,
up.
go
I
ahead.
gotta say
All right,
something,
go ahead,
Garrett.
go ahead.
No, wait. Let me finish. You brought me to your side on this just with what you said. So I gotta say this. That makes sense. That wasn't an accidental paper leak. I also had a source tell me some stuff about the Nazi Empire that I now, bro, talk. That's what I'm saying. I think that was a legit paper leak to say it was aliens instead of Nazis, right? But I also think there was other crashes in that 5. Go, Garrett.
So I just heard Matt mention Kenneth Arnold, and I wanted to know as a sub question what he thought of the similarity between I think it was called the HO 229 or something. It was the Horton Brothers craft design, that crescent shape. What do you think of that? And do you think that's what Kenneth Arnold saw, or do you think it just was a coincidence?
I mean, it honestly could be. I mean, the Horton materials were the Soviet Union did get some of those ideas, and didn't they have one of the Horton brothers
Yeah, for
at
a
one
limited
point?
time they did. I
Yeah.
think they also did make their way to South America at a certain point. I'm just based on what you said, your assessment sounds much closer to Annie Jacobson's assessment of Roswell, of that it was more of a something Stalin saw value in like manipulating the United States. But I might be paraphrasing you.
But it's not just what was said by the EG&G guy. It's you got to look at full context of what was going on at the time and what people were seeing. Like if you had, you know, an invasion from an alien force, an interdimensional or wherever, and they were all coming in at that time. I mean, I try to find the truth in the narrative, and that whole. I mean, you go to Richard Dolan's, book, and just trace that week or two, the 2 weeks, and it's just there was stuff going on. It was the Cold War, and it could fit. And if they did, if Mengele did, take some people and we, you know, do some horrific things, well, that wasn't past what we were capable of doing at that time period. So no, there's a lot of sins at that time period, and I mean, I don't, unless somebody comes out and says, this is the truth. I mean, I don't think we'll ever know. We'll all be arguing with each other about what happened,
Let me help you
75
then. This is
years
the
ago.
truth. Retweet the space, man. That's all I'm asking. So check this out. Actually, Garrett, when I first started doing this shit, when I was writing for the Roswell, I was on the other. I was literally thinking it was aliens and all kinds of shit. But I literally just said, I said earlier that I think the vast majority of craft we saw because of Cape Girardeau. And then what you said, that wasn't, oh, he made a mistake. Retract that. I bet you that was because it was Nazis and they'd rather it be aliens on our land, right? That makes way more sense to me right now. So I appreciate you actually mentioning that. I have no problem walking somewhere. And I know someone else told me too to take the connection between Nazis and UFOs seriously. A lot of people don't like to do that because the word Nazi, right? But you should. That's how you miss stuff, dude. So thanks for that, Garrett. Holy shit, dude. That makes a lot of sense as well. Thanks, dude. Hey, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up, actually. I think I've been doing spaces since I don't even know what time. I'm on one today. I'm telling you, I had a good day, right? So my psychic ability's going crazy. You guys just heard it. I'm like, oh, shit. I have no idea. I'm like, oh, why wouldn't I think of that? Thank you guys for not
We
mocking
need
me
to start having
terribly.
like a eureka counter for you
Oh,
during your
I
spaces.
don't even know. I can't even remember what I said right now, but I know it was legit. That's how I do it. It works. I do it like that. I'll start yelling myself. Oh, it comes to me in the stupidest places too. Like I'm
No,
doing random shit.
well, that it's so great talking to y'all today because, like, I think this is what when people resonate and actually quit trying to tear each other down. they have good discussions like we did today. And I think that, man, there was some good, information that was transferred to all of us between the past two spaces. So I appreciate everyone.
Actually, you're right, Matt. And let me say this, right? Follow all the speakers, listeners as well. We got a lot of people in these rooms. All these individuals, we talk about it and we spend our time doing it. But this may sound funny. I told you I like these rooms because it's like a town hall of conversations. I've taken a shitload of information, just waiting for triggers. And that's what you saw. And it's usually like I'm usually off speaker and things like that, but I get triggered off of things you say because, like Garrett, I didn't think about that, even though I was already, those are probably human. So I hear these things and it's super important. And I even tell, some of my sources, like, it's weird that things that don't really necessarily matter all the time just make me do that. Like, oh shit. And I'll start screaming. Because if I don't yell it exactly like I think it, I'll forget. My brain will go elsewhere. I'm like, wait, what was I thinking? I'll lose what I think was a good thought, right? And I'll still have to research it and shit. But I'm
That's
appreciative you
that
guys.
neurodivergence is what that is. I get it too.
Would you call me? I messed with you, bro. Thank you. Thanks. Kimball, why don't you say your word and we're going to wrap it up. Donate to Wounded Warrior, guys, just so you know, and retweet the space. Go ahead, Kimball.
Yeah, no, I have talked to a bunch of people in some of these experiencer groups, and I think what B was saying might have been in the last space, but the neurodivergence thing I think is a real thing. One of the first things Oak asked me after I had my wild experience was, he was like, Kimball, are you ADD? I said, yes, I am. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think it's a thing.
I wish I knew how to clip these spaces. Hey, friends, you know how to clip these spaces? Clip my oh shit if you heard that. I want that. That was stupid, but I need to hear that shit too. I'm gonna go back try to look for it. I don't know how to clip it, and it's funny as hell because that's literally doesn't matter where I'm at. That's exactly what I do because if I don't scream it out, say it out loud, I'll completely lose where I'm going with it. And you guys fucking heard it too. It's not the
Speaking of
best of me.
ADHD,
Yeah, that's why. I mean, I don't know what I said. Some of it, but I can't remember why it was so good. So I'll have to go back and listen. It may, hopefully, it's good. Wait, guys, was it good? Did it make sense, or did I sound like?
nope, great stuff. Thank
Okay,
you.
cool. All right, guys, thanks. Retweet the space. Good stuff. All right, thank you guys. Talk to you later.